Hello. Today we're going to learn about the BrightArrow COVID tracer and how to use it. At the top of the screen, you'll find the help info, which contains information on how to get a hold of us, directions, which will contain up-to-date information on how to use the page, should you need a refresher, and the mail merge fields, which will show you all the information that will come from PowerSchool into your list should you choose to insert it into your outgoing message. When you have a new student who has been diagnosed with COVID, you'll come to this page which will search for all students who share a class with that student, and should you choose, also include all the staff members who teach those sections, including co-teachers. The filter options are right here, and they are organized so that the top row contains fields that are rarely changed and in fact may stay the same day to day as you come back to reuse the page. The second row contains fields that you may choose to change on a day-to-day basis, and in fact the student one will change each time you use it. As you hover over any of the field names, it will give you more information on how to use or what that field is for. This information can also be found in the directions. Let's talk about the top row first. List name allows you to send your data into a specific list within your BrightArrow account. This will allow you to set a message, including any mail merge fields you want inside that message, and then reuse the same message over and over again by loading new data into the list each time you want to use it. This cuts down on your need to write a new message each time you want to send something, and allows you to personalize it to whatever your outgoing message should be, to make it a little more unique on a student-by-student or staff member basis. If you leave it blank, it will treat it as any other current selection list, where it will have the default PowerSchool selection list name, and it will be treated as a one-time use list, which will delete itself after you send the message. Should you choose to use the list name and have multiple people in your district that are going to use this tracer, possibly at the same time, it is advised that you each use a different list name so that you don't overwrite each other. Should you and your coworker be using the tracer at the same time using the same list name, one of you could send information to the list, and your coworker could send new information to that same list, overwriting your information before you send it. By choosing a unique name that only you will use and your coworker doing something similar, this will keep your list separate so that you each can be using the tracer at the same time without overwriting each other's data. If you need help on copying your message between you and your coworkers' lists, let us know and we can help direct you on doing that. Next, we have Match Track. Match Track is used if you want to only pull students in sections who have the same track as the infected student. So if your district is using track to determine who is in person on which days, you may choose to only message students who are in person on the same days as the infected student. Match Track will allow you to say, yes, I only want to pull students who have the same track because they will be in person on the same time. You can leave it as no if you do not need to match on track, if you do not separate your students in person and remote days using track. Separate by section will separate the student information by each section that they are in. If you choose to send a message on a section level instead of by the student level, you can choose yes here, and that will allow you to send one message per section instead of one message for the student as a whole. Include staff is used if you would like, set this to yes if you would like to include the teachers and the co-teachers in your list. This will allow you to send messages to the teachers and the co-teachers of each section of the infected student to give them the same information you're giving the other students for that class. With match track, separate by section, and include staff, these three fields are system-wide fields. As you set them for the entire system, and it will remember your setting until the next time. List name, however, is a personal setting. So each of you will have a separate list name setting. You may set them to the same thing, but each of you will have your own to set. Once you have this set, you're going to look down at the second row. First, who are you sending to? Are you sending to the parents of the students directly, or both the parents and the students? For today's example, I'm going to stick with just the parents. Return date is used if you want to include a return date in your outgoing message. Some schools choose to set a return date for when the students can return if the outgoing message is going to suggest that they cannot come back to school for a certain amount of time. Then the last thing we're going to do is pick our student. Now, there are two ways to pick a student. I can either pick a single student by name, or I can pick my current selection of students. If I have multiple students who've come back with a positive test, COVID test, I may want to make all of them my current selection and work with them all at once. Alternately, I can go one by one. If I do my current selection, everything is going to lock down while it's searching, and it gives you a message saying that it is searching for the students. This could take a little bit of time because it is going through every section for each of the students, and then it is going to combine all the information. Since separate by section was no, we only have one row per student. Since my include staff was no, my results will not include any staff records. Each result set can be shown individually or all at once. And I can send a message on each one individually, each group of information. Now, when you show results, please note that if you are using the PowerSchool contacts method to get your phone and emails, you're going to have multiple rows per student. That is usual. That is not a mistake. You should be, that is not an error when you see that. However, if you are using the legacy fields for your phone and emails, you should see one record per student per section. We will dedupe when we import. When I click on Show Results, I can see the information. I see fields 1 through 7 here. If I forget what those are, I can look at my mail merge fields to see what they are. And then I can see my phone and emails that are being sent as well. Now let's make a change and see how it works a little differently. Let's say this time I'm going to include the staff, and I'm going to separate by section. I'm not going to match on track. I don't need to do that. And honestly, I don't remember if I have tracks in my demo data. I am going to give this list a name, though. I'm going to say I don't want to use a current selection list. I'm going to say this is my message list. I'm going to pick a student, Cody Anderson. I'm going to look up Cody's information. Because I chose separate by section, I see each one of his sections separately. Each one I can show, and I can see the teacher and all the students. If there's more than one teacher, I will see all the teachers first and then all the students. I can say create message. And now it will send that information to us and load it into a list. And say, you know what, I'm just going to send an email. If I want to start my message, this is my message. And if I want to include any of my mail merge fields, I can look in here and I can say field 1 is the school name and field 2 is the school phone. And saying this is a message from field 1, which was my school name. ... You can see that I'm going to put in the rest of my message. I can do an HTML email just as I would anything else. See my list name up at the top. There's my 23 students from this. And then I can send my message. When I'm done, I can say finished with this group. You notice it says create message again, but there's a little star after it. If I click this, nothing will happen. The star indicates to you, gives you a visual representation, letting you know that this list has already, or this group has already been sent a message, and it prevents you from accidentally sending a message to them again. I can go to another section and have it do the same thing. If I click just a separate list, you can see that each one now says it has create messages done. You may have noticed that my message did not save. That is because I did not save or send my message before moving on. Therefore, that did not save to that specific list. When you use it for real, click Save Message at the bottom or send the message and it will save the message to that list. If I want to go to another student, I can simply change students and it will load the next one. If I no longer want to separate by section, I can change to no. And the next student I load will only show the one. That is how you use the BrightArrow COVID Tracer.